Hello and welcome to another edition of your favourite podcast, Insane in the Fembrain. Greetings one and all, welcome to the show. It's weird calling it a show when it's a podcast, like a mental health podcast. Not a show as such. It's always when you say episode. Just this, welcome to this one. I don't know, it's difficult to place, isn't it? Because of the subject matter. But welcome. Anyway, welcome to the podcast. Let's do that. Before we get into it, there's a couple of things I need to say. We've got this podcast, as you know, as I always say, is supported by those wonderful lads at Save Our Souls Clothing, Mark and Stacey. They help us keep the lights on. Wonderful boys doing wonderful things. And if you go to their website, sosclothing.co.uk/membrane, and use the discount code membrane, that will give you 15% off everything across the store. So that's not just our tees and hoodies, that's everything across the Save Our Souls Clothing website. So get on that. What a bargain. What an absolute bargain for you. They've got great stuff, ethically sourced t-shirts, vegan friendly ink as well. I mean, I've worked there. I've seen this, what goes on for myself. I tell you this as a man that has been involved in their very midst, in their work, and it's brilliant. They're good lads doing good things, so do that. You'll get yourself some wonderful garms for a wonderful price. And do you know what? It makes it so easy to talk about them, because I genuinely believe in them. It's a brilliant firm. Wonderful products. They're good lads. So thanks for that. Thank you to the boys for helping us, for supporting this wonderful podcast. We're planning more live events in the autumn. So for priority access to live stream and IRL in real life tickets, pop your email address into our mailing list at darkhorsedigital.co.uk, and then that will let you know, first of all, before everyone else, what's happening and what we're doing. We've got loads of stuff lined up for you, so do that for us. That'll be fantastic. So here we are, the wonderful Insane in the Fembrain, where Rich Wilson gets to talk to women about what it's like to be a woman, which I know sounds weird. It sounds odd, doesn't it, that? Because you're like, we talk to women all the time. People do. Like, yeah, but you haven't really had people don't really have, from my experience, this is why I started this. I didn't really know. I understood what it's like to be a woman. I never will. I'm not a woman, and so I wanted to have those conversations and ask those questions, like, what is it like to be a woman? Like like what you go through as a woman, because it's a very, very difficult, very different experience to that it is to be a man. And so I wanted to know, and that's why we started this. And all the guests that we've had have been brilliant. They're really open, honest. They don't mind me asking clunky questions that I probably should already know the answers to. They've all been wonderful. We've got a tremendous back catalogue, so do have a look at that with some fantastic guests. Speaking of fantastic guests, this week we have the wonderful musician, singer-songwriter Jasmine Flowers. Now, I'm really into my music, but you miss out on a lot. If you're into a certain thing, or or sometimes you're not looking in the right place. But Jasmine has popped up, and she's going places. She's absolutely first class. And when I listened to her songs, I was like, we got to have her on. This is superb stuff. And she's 21. And so I was a bit daunted about talking to her, because I'm 49. There's that old thing like what do we have in common? But people forget that, because she's 21, but she's not a child, and you'll find this out from the episode. She's great. She was so good to talk to. She's very calm, cool, collected. She knows what's going on. She's fantastic, and I really enjoyed talking to her. And we had a really good chat, and you'll hear that in the episode. It's lovely. And her music is fantastic. Check out the song Awkward that we mentioned in the episode, because it resonated with me so much, and you'll hear why in the chat. It was absolutely brilliant. And she's got some music. She's got an album coming up. She's got stuff she's working on. She's a phenomenal talent, and I think you're going to really enjoy her stuff. So with that in mind, let's get on with it. So coming up in a bit is Jasmine Flowers.
A podcast from producer Paul.co.uk.
Thank you for coming on. Really
Thank you for having me.
No, it's my pleasure. It's because this is the thing. I like getting to talk to people like yourselves, because I hear all the time, because I'm an older dude, and like a lot of my mates, they're all like, oh, there's no new music around, nothing's good anymore. They always bang on about the 90s, and you're like, yeah, the 90s was like nearly 30 years ago. You got to move on, boys,
True.
And so I get to meet people like you and introduced to brand new music. And I'm going to tell you, Awkward is a tune.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
It's next day. I was listening to it on the way down. Well, again, funny enough, because you mentioned the swearing. And then I was like, because you use like proper language. It's like, that's how people talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I never understood why people don't like swearing. I just don't get how, like, it's a word. It's just a word.
Exactly.
Makes no
Exactly.
sense.
It's how people talk. And
Yeah.
was that a conscious thing when you were writing the lyrics? Or just sort of like, it just sort of tumbled out?
No, it just comes out like I swear. I don't swear like a huge amount, but, you know, it's a form of expression. And it just, you know, if it fits in a song, I won't put it in to be extra in a song, but, you know, if it just fits and it fits the vibe, then, yeah, I don't really care to swear.
No, excellent. Well, that's it. I mean, yeah, because there's people I know that every other word is fuck, and you're just like, well, like you got to take it down a few, but like a well positioned, especially when like something's pissed you off, or you're just exasperated, and you're just like, oh, fuck's sake.
Exactly. You got to use them tastefully, otherwise they lose their meaning. But
yes,
I agree with you.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was great, and I also liked it because I read. So I was just looking into you about before we had this. And in the Equate interview, and you were talking about, you said the word awkward was orange to you. And I found that really interesting because I know what you mean.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I didn't know if it was like, because I know Pharrell Williams, is it synesthesia? Like when you can like see things and all that. I didn't think that was a similar thing to that. Or you can just see like a word has a certain colour.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
completely. And it's the same, like, and I know a few artists that have it, like, it's the same, like, when I'm writing a song, like, there'll be sounds, like a bass sound or a key sound, and it'll be a colour or it'll fit a certain word. Yeah. And yeah, when I did Awkward, I was like, Awkward is orange, for sure.
Yeah, I got it. I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah. It's like people's names, like some people's names.
Exactly.
You know, I think, like, because mine's Rich or Richard, so I always see it as green, but that might not be the case, though. Yeah. I don't know why. Maybe it might be because it's my favourite colour. I don't know.
You've got like a biased opinion.
Yeah.
I'd say green or grey for Rich, I think.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that. And it's funny because like your background, like you say, your mum was a singer, songwriter.
Yep.
And so you've always been surrounded by music.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Never not had music.
Yeah. Just can't remember a time when there wasn't any.
No, not at all. You know, like I think I said before, like in the car, we would always have some sort of CD on. Like even now, my mum doesn't even have an aux cable in her car. She still plays CDs.
Really?
And we've got like a stereo in the house. Music has like been just like, I've never not had it. I don't know what life would be like. Like I can't imagine growing up without music. That'd be so weird.
I know what you mean. I know some people that say, I'm not really bothered about music. You know, how it must touch you somehow. Yeah. It just evokes so many emotions that you must. I don't understand. There must be something switched off inside them.
Yeah, God, I don't know. It is strange. Like I was thinking about this today. Like, why do I even like music? I don't even know what it is about it that I'm like, I need to have this in my life. But like it makes no sense. People who don't I don't know, don't like it, but people who just like, I don't really care.
Yeah, not bothered.
What?
I know. And these are the people that make shit music get to the top of the charts. Because they haven't got a lot of taste. And you're like, because there's too many people like that. They're just, I don't want to say basic, but you know what I mean.
No, it's okay. Different people have different requirements, or not requirements, but that music touches them differently. If music, just listen to music because you want to vibe or you want to bop, then fair enough.
Yeah.
Just put on a vibey tune and fine. But if you want to like actually kind of listen to the sounds in it and the lyrics, then that's more like my kind of person.
Yeah. Same. And I've been, because I do comedy as well, and I've been working on this idea because there's people that I grew up with that are, some of the views that they come out with on Facebook and things like that are really extreme, and I'm like, how are you coming out with this racist, homophobic bullshit when we grew up in the same place? And I was figuring it out, and then I was thinking back to what it was like when we were hanging out together at school and things like that. And then I was like, oh yeah, you again, like, you weren't bothered about music. You kind of just, like, whatever was happening at the time, you were kind of just like into that. You didn't really give a shit. So I think there's a direct correlation somewhere between people that were brought up without decent music around them to now being extreme awful people. I think there's something there, because I learned everything I know about from music.
Yeah, I literally had this conversation with a friend of mine a couple of days ago. Like, artists just don't, I think in general, most of us, we don't like see color. We don't see like these differences in people. And if we do, I think it's just this part of your brain, like, it's not necessarily maturity, but it's something that we've practiced more. You just learn how to like look at something and intercept it and make an opinion on it. Like, that's what you do with art. Like, if you look at a painting, you can make your own opinion, and you discuss stuff. Like, you can go to a gallery or go to a show and be like, yeah, I like that song, and your friend's like, oh, I didn't like it, and you discuss it, and that's it. Whereas if you've never learned that kind of muscle of like discussing and forming your opinions and not allowing other people's opinions to literally piss you off, then like I can see why those people that have grown up to be a bit less respectful or understanding, you know.
Like I said, I've learned everything I have, because I was surrounded by music as well. Not that my parents were musicians, but they had a really eclectic sort of record library. So, you know, I grew up with the blues and Bob Dylan and then like, nice. You know, Bob Marley and different, you know, Mr. Yellowman and all, and then the Stones, and then all, like, you know, Elton John, and like, I was just really lucky.
Yeah,
and it
good
just
mix.
It just changes you.
Yeah, it does. And just like, even if your parents, like, I know a lot of people whose parents aren't at all into music. If you're not having those discussions, then just makes a different kind of person.
I think so. I think it does. And it's a shame, because I look at those people now that I grew up with, and I'm like, wow, you're not even the person you were when we were hanging out.
Yeah,
you've just been moulded into this. Like, you believe all the bullshit and the propaganda that's just fed to you. And you're like, you know, and they start to, like, they're not looking further than their own shadow half the time. You're like, come on.
Yeah. I think, like, just like openness. Like, if you're not open and you're not there willing to like learn stuff and like be open to kind of, I don't know, let things like affect you, let things make you feel a certain way. You just you kind of put yourself in like a little box unintentionally, but you know, these people are they're very outspoken, but outside of that, like, what do you do? Like, who's in your circle?
I think a lot of it comes from fear, doesn't it? It's that they're scared of what's going on around them, so they sort of lash out. Yeah. You know, and it's like a defense mechanism, and you want to take them to one side and just say, look, that's not the case. Look at this. Come and look at this. Come and listen to this. Listen to this Bhangra music. Come and listen to this. There's other stuff going on that if you just listen to it or just read this thing, it'll just change your mind. Like, we had on comedian Fatiha El Ghori last week, or week before, and I didn't know much about the hijab and the burqa and things like that. I only know the bullshit that's in the press.
Yep.
So I had her on and was talking about it, and where the press would tell you that it's an oppressive thing, like it's oppressing women. You know, like Fatia wears it because she wants to wear it. It's part of her culture. And I didn't know that. And I suddenly, when I was talking to her, I'm like, fuck, there's so much shit in my head.
Yeah, yes.
That you need to go and explore, don't you? Like you do, I imagine. You're just open to things. You
do, yeah. And both in life and online, like if you've got one or two sources of information, you're going to be so badly informed. Like, even just my grandparents with everything with coronavirus and COVID, like, they know, not necessarily, well, probably, they just know less, because, you know, they've heard the BBC News information, and they've heard what they've read on, like, I don't know, a wiki page or something, and they've not heard, like, random people's opinions on stuff. They've not had discussions, seen people's posts on social media. And then, just like in the world, like you say, like, meeting people of different cultures, different upbringings and backgrounds, you just learn so much about religions and just cultures, people. You just got to get out there and speak to people. Exactly. And it seems that people don't really want to. They're kind of, again, they're kind of shutting down, shutting off. And I get it. It's just a fear. It is a fear. Uncomfortable, isn't it? Yeah. And I thought that was really interesting in the song Awkward, where you were talking about
be in a social situation where like they go to shake you, like they go shake your hand and then you go in for the hug. Yeah. And I'm like, fuck yeah, that's like most of us. I think most of us. Yeah. All social situations are awkward, especially if it's someone you don't really know.
Yes. You know. So much.
Yeah, and I think we all have that, but I think there's a tendency now. They're going, oh, I can't. I'm too anxious about it. My anxiety's through the roof. I'm not going to go. And you're like, no, wait. Everyone's anxious. Anxiety is a natural thing. It's your defense mechanism. It's your alarm system. But if you start to like deny it and go, well, I'm not going to do that because it makes me anxious, then you're never going to do anything.
Yeah, I mean, the more you put yourself in those situations, like you just realize everyone else is the same, like you said.
Yeah, everyone's blagging it, mate.
So true. Fake it till you make it.
Is that a personal thing to you? Like, is that how you feel? Like, it comes from a personal.
Yeah, absolutely. Thing? Like, with all my songs and Awkward, like, I can't. I just literally, I'm just not talented enough to be able to write songs that I don't feel something about. And yeah, Awkward, it's just how I feel. And everyone, when it came out, were like, you're not awkward. I don't think you're awkward. Like, bro, if you could just take a second inside my head and experience a meeting. Oh my God. Yeah, I feel, maybe I don't come across as awkward, but inside I feel, often just anxious in situations.
Absolutely.
But the more you're in, you just realize everyone else is probably the same and it's not that deep.
True. It is true. I'm the same. It's like, I go out in front of hundreds of people a week to try and make them laugh. And the turmoil before I get on, it's not because I can't do it. I've been doing it long enough to know I can do it, but I just want it to go well, and I want them to laugh at what I'm going to say.
Of course.
And so that, those voices are going, oh, you're shit. What are you doing? What are you doing this for? And you're going, do you want to back off a little bit? And then you walk out like you're like Liam Gallagher. You're like, I got this.
Literally.
Yeah, and then people go, wow, you're so confident. He goes, you have any idea the shit I've just been through in my head?
Yeah, that is exactly how it goes.
Yeah.
Just got to pretend. And then everyone, I don't know, clearly you fool some people.
Yeah, this is
true. But
true.
The truth is, everyone is like stressing out.
Yeah. I think there's an assumption as well. I've got two sons, they're 29 and 24. And how old are you, 20?
I'm 21.
21. And there's this assumption that, young people don't know what's going on. Young people haven't got a clue. And then talking to my sons, talking to people like you, talking to other like younger people, you start to realise that not only do young people understand what's going on, they actually are more in tune with what's going on than older people that assume they've got all the answers. Yeah.
I get why people feel like we know less because, we've experienced less life. But there's so much, like, we have access to everything online. We can go anywhere, we can travel, we can literally learn everything. All we're kind of missing out on is actual time that we've lived. So fair play, but you can live years in like a month if you want to. Just in experiences. So yeah, we definitely know stuff. I think most of us are pretty well educated, and I think we're forced to learn so much that we end up learning early on what we actually want to learn about, and so we actually just go out and look up stuff, about the world or about people. And I think to an extent, there's a lot of stuff we feel like, or young people feel like we kind of need to fix or kind of work on as a society. That we're, it takes knowledge, so you have to know your shit.
I think so. I think what's nice is that your generation, and so like my boys as well. Whereas my generation kind of like, we were told this is how it is, and we all kind of went, all right then, we trust you, you're the grown-ups. I think yours is like the first, this new batch of this generation of young people coming through going, you're the first ones that are sort of questioning it and going, why is that?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah.
And I find that fascinating.
I think it's hilarious that people are surprised that we're doing that, because that's like the whole of primary and secondary school. It's like everything you're taught, you have to be like, okay, you're gonna question it, and you gotta expand on what and why and ask questions. And then we start doing that in the actual world, and they're like, what? Oh my God, they're not just accepting what we're telling them.
Yeah, we're not being able to turn them into worker bees this time.
Yeah,
they're actually turning around and going, nah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which is good though.
Well, that's how it should be. That's how because when I was a kid, you'd have one or two people that would turn around and go, "Why?"
Yeah,
and they were always shut down. They were always like seen as troublemakers. And then I look back to those people now, and I'm like, oh man, I wish I'd been more like you.
Yeah.
You know, because now that I see where they're at, and they're hugely successful in their own right, they're doing whatever they're doing because they had the guts to turn around and go, well, that doesn't make sense to me. You know, just because you're older, you think, because that's the other thing as well. Now we realise that all the grown-ups were lying anyway. They didn't know what they were talking about.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know about you. I was like super well behaved at school. I was like very rarely got told off. And now I'm out of school. I just wish I had broken more rules. Because I just followed them because I was told to. And I'm like, nah, they're just dumb. Don't just brainwash you when you're at school into thinking everything is so important. And it's just not.
No,
it really isn't. Oh, yeah, I wish I could go back to school and redo it with my current mindset.
Wouldn't that be amazing? Just wandering around with everything you've learned since you left. You just, you'd be like an alien.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I would, probably be like kicked out first day in.
Yeah, because you got too much going on. Actually, you're causing trouble for the grown-ups.
Yeah.
So you're, like, obviously your mum was a huge influence on you.
Yeah,
But was there a particular other artist that you, when you heard it, you kind of went, oh wow, that it kind of like a switch went off? As I know, I was a drummer for a bit, and my son's a drummer, and that kicked off because I heard Keith Moon on a song by The Who called "I Can't Explain," and I heard the drumming on that, and I'm like, and it just something just switched in me, and I want to do that.
Yeah.
Was there a moment for you?
I think I wasn't aware of it at the time, but looking back, I think when I first found out about Michael Jackson, I was like, that was, I think, probably one of the first YouTube videos I would ever watch would be his performances. And I to be honest with you, I actually got really confused as a kid, and I thought he was the first person on the moon because he did the moonwalk. My dad taught me that was a different guy. That was Buzz Aldrin or someone else. I don't know. And so I was just obsessed, and I wasn't like, oh my God, I want to do this. It just made me feel something that I didn't really recognize at the time. And so, yeah, probably Michael Jackson, and just, I think even somehow subconsciously has somehow come into my music in that it at the time, his music was just so like revolutionary. It used new sounds. It was just new, and like a lot of metallic stuff in his music. And I think I've got a lot of that in some of my tracks. So I don't know if that's because of that, or I don't know, something more recent, but I think definitely just watching just his performances, like just the choreography, vocals, everything.
It's just, I mean, we speak of aliens, but Michael Jackson was not of this world. I mean, it was incredible. I remember when we were sat around the TV when we were watching the Motown, like 25th anniversary, when he did the moonwalk for the first time. I remember we all just stood up in the lounge. We stood up and went, what the fuck is that? It was spectacular. Because we'd never seen anything like that before. I mean, you had the electric slide, James Brown doing all this thing, but I'd never seen a man going backwards looking like he's going forwards.
That's literally all it is. And everyone was like, fuck, that's incredible.
But it looked like he was on like a Travelator or something. Just.
Yeah.
And everyone was going, it was like later on, they're going, it was probably he had like wheels in his shoes and all that. But then back then, that wasn't a thing. Obviously later on, and I think when you talk about Mike, like they call him like the king of pop, but it's like you say, it's something else. There's just other elements that take it to another level. And I think with your music, like listening to it today, like they were like again reading up on you, and it was saying like alt R&B, and which kind of was like, I don't know, like sort of Billie Eilish sort of thing. But it's just like, and you were saying about genres and things like that, and it was really interesting what you were saying, because it's like, there's like just some things just kind of there aren't just the lines aren't as straight as that sometimes. You kind of bridge gaps between different genres and different influences. And is that just a conscious thing, or is it just sort of just what comes tumbling out?
It's just like I just make what comes out of me, and I don't really. I don't go into a session and think I'm going to write a pop song, I'm going to write an R&B song. Because if I do that, it will just completely stifle me, and like whatever comes out will just be ingenuine. ingenuine. That's the word, ingenuine, I think. Will not be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just make stuff, and it's probably a mixture of what I listen to, really. And that is like a mixture, like I said, like Michael Jackson, but then I also listen to Bob Marley, Aswad, Scissor Sisters, what else, like Empire of the Sun. Like I had a big mixture growing up, and classical music. So like there's so many influences and just stuff I've found over the years that I like. I'm just going to put it into my music because I like it and it sounds cool.
Yeah, but it's funny how many, when you see interviews with Paul McCartney and people like that, and those early recordings they did when they talk, oh yeah, well we got that from Bach or Beethoven or wherever, and you're like, wow, yeah, they took those, and you're like, oh my god, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And I find that I used to, because growing up, like whatever was fashionable at the time, you kind of sort of followed that. So, you know, I was a mod for a little while, and then I was this and I was that. But now I'm so open to everything. If it's good, it's good.
Yeah.
And across the board, and it's, you know, like you say, Aswad. I remember, Aswad. I haven't heard that name in years. I was just surrounded by all that, and so now I'm the best invention of the last few years is Shazam, the app.
Yeah. Yes.
I can't tell you how many times you'll find me stood in a shop with my arm in the air.
How awkward does that feel?
Used to feel really
painful.
Awkward, but now I don't.
Yeah,
now I don't care. I'm like, look, my life's gonna be better if I just get this one tune. This is the gap. Yeah. This is the thing. This is the link.
Yeah, I've done that so much. To be fair, you know what? If you're like, I used to work in a cafe in I've worked in a couple of cafes, but I used to work in a cafe in Soho, and it's like it feels good when you see someone Shazamming a track that you put on a playlist.
Yeah,
they like this music that I'm choosing. So you know what? I'm not as nervous now because I know that someone will see and think that they're happy that I like their song.
It gets better, I promise. That shame of you stood there with your arm in the air Shazamming. You get to a point, like at the moment, it's. I remember being. I don't mean this in a patronising way, but I remember when I was young and everything just filled me with shame. I just what. But you get after 45, nothing matters. Honestly, you don't give a shit. Not as much. There's bits, but it's not as strong. You kind of go no, because you realise that. I don't know what you realise. You just go, no, fuck it. It doesn't matter.
Do you wish that you felt that earlier, or do you think that even if, like, do you feel like it's worth going through the years of awkwardness to get to that point?
I wish it had come to me a bit earlier.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot. I'm sort of fundamentally, I'm a shy person. I say this quite a lot on here. So if I'd have done the thought of this, if I'd have been doing this like 20 years ago, like chatting to people that I've never met, or I've done it and I've just found out about, would have just filled me with horror.
Really?
And I wouldn't be able to do it. But now I'm like, no, I want to do it. I want to meet new people. I want to have these conversations. Because it means it keeps me relevant as well, like talking to people of another generation. It gives me a better understanding of where you guys are at. And because I do worry, you worry like global warming, and you worry about how you see the news and social media and everything's fighting and on fire.
Yep.
And I worry about young people. But then I talk to you, and you're like, no, we get it. We got it. We listen, you fucked it. We're going to unfuck it.
That's the fucking... Oh, my God, I want that tattooed. That's funny.
Stick it on a T-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, that is exactly it. And I definitely... I know a few people, like a couple of my friends are a little older than me, and definitely say, just be a bit more carefree. Yes. But it's hard. Like, even if everyone's telling you, like, don't stress, you're still going to stress. It's something that comes from inside you. You got to, like, work it out. I don't know. But it does just take experience and growing up a bit, I think. So I'll get there.
Absolutely. It's things like, I remember saying to a comedian, his name's Matt Price, and I just said to him, I said, every time I come away from a conversation with someone, I always think, oh, God, I must think I'm a twat. I must think I'm such an arsehole after all that. And then he said to me, he goes, it's a bit arrogant to think they're still thinking about you when you've walked away.
Yo.
I went, yeah,
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is a thing.
Yeah, they're not picking it apart. They either go, oh, that was nice to see him, or they're just not thinking about it. Yeah. But they're not ruining their day. They're not sitting there plotting. You know.
Overthinkers, man. We're overthinkers.
Yeah. So for me, I'd say Off the Wall was my favourite Jackson album. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I just love the whole. I love the cover. I love every song on it. I think every from cover to final song, it's got the whole feel of it. It's just next level.
Yeah, I love like there's so many good tracks on there. I had that one. I had Bad, and then I had just like the essential Michael Jackson, which had like everything from Jackson 5 through to like the most recent stuff. Yeah, Off the Wall. I love the track Off the Wall. That's cool.
Yeah,
super cool. I love like, and it's kind of a thing like you said, mentioned with Billie Eilish. I kind of with her like, oh, it's so bad. I literally actively tried not to listen to her music because I didn't want to sound like her.
Yeah,
but I don't have any of her songs, but I know the lyrics to everything. I don't know how that happened.
It's just in the atmos.
But it's like that kind of like music that's got a bit of like scariness to it. Like Michael Jackson did it, she's doing it, Sev Deliza does it, Banks. It's like, I think that's so cool. Because I hate being scared, absolutely hate it, but I love it in music.
Really?
Yeah. And Off the Wall's got that like ghost kind of vocal in it, which is sick.
I like that, a darkness to it, almost like an emo sort of goth.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like you say, with an R&B twist, but that's it, isn't it? It's like you say, taking all those influences and then they're just moulding it into something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
It's fun. It's really fun to do. It's just like, you know, it's like such a freeing thing to do. It's just, you just literally do what you like. Like I like how that rhythm sounds. Let's make that and just do whatever you want. Yeah. It's great.
So I read the Beastie Boys book recently. And just like hearing, like reading about their background, like how they came to be, what they used to do, and they go through like in thrift stores, finding old records and things like that because they knew that there was like a 1 second flute piece, that's like 1 second that they had to find and then they could loop
Crate
it.
Diggers.
Yeah. And you're like, oh man. But do you hear anything and just go, I want to do that? Or do you just go, oh, that's interesting, I'd like to do it? That it kind of influences you, or do you just what do you do? Do you just take yourself off when you're inspired?
You know what? I get stressed out that if I copy something too closely, I'm gonna get someone on my ass about it. But I think it's almost, you can't copy something. If I hear a song that I fuck with really hard, I'm like, I don't even want to try and replicate that because it's not gonna be as good, and I'm gonna be annoyed about it. So I'm also just kind of like, if I'm in a session, we'll just listen to some stuff that we're both liking, and if we're vibing with it, it will just spark something, and we'll create something new, and it could be completely different, but it will have been inspired by whatever that was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just go up and down. Like, you gotta go. I kind of have to take moments where I don't listen to any music at all, and I just do life things and go out and stuff. And then there's times when I literally just will sit and listen to albums, and I listen to in the car. Like, just in the car, I always listen to music. So yeah, I go through phases of being inspired and not being inspired. Just listen to my own stuff. It goes up and down.
Yeah, I think it's important to go out and do live stuff. I remember doing comedy, and I always thought all I had to do was just watch comedy, learn comedy. And then one day I suddenly went, no, all you're going to talk about is comedy. So, like with music, go out and do live things, then you'll have something to talk about and write about.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you'll have your own experiences, you'll hear other people's. It just gives you material. Same, I guess, with comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's such a good point. Like, everyone, there's this whole like hustle culture, which I totally agree with, but you've just got to, within the hustling, you've got to factor in some time to just not hustle, so you can go back to it with actually, you know, like, good content.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
This assumption, this is like, you see it all the time, like, oh, I'm out here grinding, and you go, well, don't.
Yeah, why don't you take a day off?
Yeah, put your shirt back on, mate, and go to the cinema. Go and do something else.
Do anything else.
Yeah, just go and hang out with your mates. Go and do something. Go and eat an ice cream.
Yes, just tiny stuff. But it makes a big difference, I think, to art and creation.
Yeah, I think you need that as well, especially where you are, where you're sort of just starting out.
Yeah.
and there would be, I don't know, I'm just assuming, but there's just this, there'd be this, you feel like you don't want to say no to things because you feel you'll miss out.
Yeah.
You just want to keep pushing. But I think it's great that you've actually got that in your head. You're like, oh no, I do need a day or so out.
Yeah.
Just for me, so that I can breathe and my mental health doesn't get affected.
Totally. And I think I've got that because I grew up in the countryside. You know, it's such a slow-paced, chill lifestyle. So, like, going back to London when I was 18, it was like, it felt like crazy. Everyone's like full on all the time, like 24/7. No one stops. But I just have to. I love like Awkward, for example. I did out in Norway, in Bergen, with Ashel and a couple, and like a writer over there called Simon. And just like the week I spent there was so nice because they just appreciate the need for like nature and going on a walk and getting like having a lunch break. It's a different culture, and I really like connect with that. I love it. It's so much nicer than like, let's get 2 sessions in a day, we've got to get like 3 songs done, no lunch break, we'll get an Uber Eats. Like, no, let's go out for a walk and just chat a bit.
And then that vibe then influences your music, surely. You know, that it doesn't sound so claustrophobic when you're listening to it. You know, there's no pressure there. It's so nice. Like I say, the stuff I was listening to this morning, I was making notes. I'm sat on the train and I was just going through in my head and I was reading some bits and bobs. And I suddenly realised for like most of the train journey, I'd just been looking out the window, listening. I suddenly wasn't making the notes. I was just lost in it. And I was like...
Awesome.
And that's a really good sign. That's what music should do. It should take you out.
Incredible, yeah.
You know? And
yeah.
And so your mum was in the industry. So she so she sort of understands the pitfalls and...
Yeah, which has been, you know, like I definitely came into the industry knowing all the ups and downs of it. And it's, you know, like, just in terms of like inspiration, like kind of wanting to do what your parents do, I saw her, but like tiny things like just being in the studio and having things like watching her mastering stuff and the process of choosing songs and her, like, I remember being in the car and she would it took like months. I think I'm going to be quicker than she was, but it took her so long to choose the set list, like the order of the album. And I was just like, how, I never understood why. Then she would be like, yeah, I want this one because it gives this feel and it suits like driving here or sitting here. And so I definitely like learned a lot about kind of the purpose, I guess, of music or how different people listen to it. And like, even like my dad he's not a musician himself, but he's like he loves music and he's introduced me to like some really cool artists. And he, like, one thing he's always said when I've been making music is like, space is really important, silence is important, which is something I definitely, you know, it's hard to do. It's hard to just leave a gap. I'm like, fuck, I gotta fill it up with something. but yeah, true. Like, there's so many little good lessons I've learned through just my mum being in the industry and being a creative, and my dad just being like a very avid listener of music. I
think there's so I've noticed when in my industry, your industry, when the industries work out that they can make money from what you do, they'll be your best mate, and suddenly they're all over you, and they'll be like, oh, you know, and it'd be easy to get suckered into that, you know. And so I suppose you have to be really careful.
It is it's an industry. Money's involved, so it's got to. There's always going to be times when you feel like you've got to compromise, which is the hardest part, I think. You know, I could create songs for days, but like, am I creating a song that's going to do well on the radio or do well on TikTok or on whatever? And it's that stuff that kind of, it can sometimes inspire different types of music, but for the most part, it just does feel like a kind of restraint, which is hard as an artist.
Yeah, of course.
You know, it is a game. It's just a game.
Yeah, well, I think that's it. As long as you, try and move at your own pace, and and don't let them sort of drag you along. I'm sure you'll be fine, because like I say, your music's brilliant. Your music's great, and it.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
That was really good. So are you working on an album and things like that?
I've got an EP done, complete, which will be coming out in October. which has got a few more tracks on it for everyone, and then yeah, I'm just still busy writing, working on an album is the plan. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited, actually. I'm super excited. It's just like fun, just putting out songs and seeing people's reactions.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And how about playing live? Do you enjoy that? I
love it. You know what? Actually, the thought of it terrifies me right now because I've not done it in so long.
Yeah.
But damn, that energy feels so good. And I've never done a whole set of my own songs. I used to do a lot of covers and cover gigs and like function stuff.
Yeah.
And I've never done anything of like everything my own stuff. So I'm super excited. I've got 2 gigs in London in October, the 5th and the 7th, I think, of October.
Yeah, right.
I think there's still tickets for the 5th, but 7th is sold out.
Brilliant.
I'm so excited to perform. Yes.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. Been waiting for this for so long.
It's funny, when I went back out after the first lockdown, and doing like garden gigs and things like that. And I remember, and I've been doing it 16, 17 years. And I remember stood there and I was about to start, and I just, in my brain just went, I don't remember any of my stuff. I had to wing it.
Of course. You must get the crowd think, yeah, God, the nerves. You just fall out of it like so quick if you don't do it. Yeah.
It's really easy to do, yeah. But I opened it now. I suddenly realised that being up there doing what I'm doing, and it's not because of the attention, I just love doing it. I love making people laugh. And so the 20 minutes that I'm up on stage, or however long it is, I feel more comfortable up there than I do in everyday life. Because you're not thinking about bills, you're not thinking about everyday stuff. I'm just thinking about this.
It's such a good feeling. It's kind of like the pinnacle of you just ignore everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, writing and stuff is that, but just the performance, like you don't have time or space or mental space to think about anything than what you're doing. And I think that focus is so nice. And just, like you just get it, the crowd, the energy that you get is, you can't compare it to anything, I don't think.
No, this is it, innit?
At all.
Yeah. And like I say, I had a few mates that were messaging me who are also comedians, and they were just going, oh, you know what it's like, you know what we're like, we need the attention. And I'm like, no, it's not attention that I need. I just like doing it. I like making people laugh, and then they come away and they go, oh yeah, I forgot about my own shit for however long it was, you know?
Yeah, you're giving that to other people too. You're just kind of taking people out of their kind of daily whatever they do and just giving them a little lift with no stresses.
Exactly, that's it. And music, there's nothing better for that than music.
Yeah.
And all power to you. I think it's great. I'm really, because I always wanted to be a musician, but was never surrounded by musicians. Mm-hmm. So I drummed for a bit, but it never occurred to me I could do it myself. It was sort of, other people did it, So like my youngest son's studying music in Bristol at BIM.
Awesome.
So I'm dead proud. It's like I live vicariously through him now.
You can live your dreams out, yeah.
This is it. Yeah. But what do you make about all the conversations now about mental health? Like,
God, huge topic. I think that it's just a question of making people aware that they exist, but not putting too much weight on them yourself. In a lot of cases when something's really severe, a diagnosis and medication can help. But I think a lot of the time it's just something, like life has ups and downs, and you have to learn how to work through it. And you need people around you to just be like, yeah, sure, I accept that you've got this. Like, let me help you through it. I hate people who are like, oh, this doesn't exist. We've made it up. Nothing exists. Or like, just go see someone. Like, it takes so much more than just speaking to a therapist or taking a medication. It takes like a whole circle of people around you to help with anything.
Yeah.
So it's just as with everything, it's just a case of like understanding. People need to be understanding of it and respectful of people. Everyone. You never know what people have.
No.
Or suffering with.
That's exactly it. Until we started speaking to each other, none of us knew what was going on. We certainly didn't understand that we were probably, like we said earlier, like we're all blagging it. Everyone's blagging it. Because before that, we just assumed everyone had it sussed. We're like, and that's why I think, and I say this a lot. That's why, and I say that as someone who struggles to open up as well.
Oh God, me too.
Yeah. It's weird. I'm always like, hey, you got to open up, man. You got to chill out. You got to just talk to each other. Talk to me. I'm the last person that does it.
Yeah. I'm
such a hypocrite.
Always that way around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I mean, I don't think I know anyone that's like, I don't have anything. Like, I don't have anxiety. Like, everyone has something these days. And so it's kind of lost its, I can see why people think it's just like, we're just like a weak generation and we have all these problems. But, you know, we've got a lot of shit to deal with. And like not particularly a lot of people are not very understanding of it. No. And that's all it takes. Even if you disagree with something, or you don't think that you don't think that it's as bad as someone's saying, you've just got to take people for what they say and help them how you can.
Absolutely.
And yeah, you like talking to people, and then I also find like just spending time by myself and working through stuff in my mind. Like it takes. I realized it like. There's kind of like two kinds of happy. There's like passive happy, which is like ordering McDonald's and watching Netflix. And then there's like active happy, and that's like taking care of your body. And it's such a more sustainable, better, good happy. Like being happy takes effort. Never realized that. What's that about?
Yeah,
being happy takes effort.
Yeah, it's extra. It's extra chemicals. It's extra.
Yeah.
Yeah, this comes up quite a bit actually. It's
really
like comedian friend of mine, Dave Longley, pointed out one day, he goes, you're not looking for happy, you're looking for content.
Yeah.
Which is more level, it's more in between up and down.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah, and I think
sustainable.
I think a lot of that comes from like trying to find out who you are. I think I spent so many years pretending or thinking I was one thing or thinking I was another. I didn't really know who I was until quite recently, I think. I didn't have a good idea of myself.
Yeah, I almost feel like I never will. I feel like as much as I change, I'm just going to be spending my life keeping up with trying to work out how I'm changing and like who I am. It's not encouraged. Like in the UK especially, I was thinking about this, like the fact that we have to wear a school uniform and there's like all these rules. Like they don't encourage individuality at all, especially where I grew up. Like very like not diverse. And so you don't, it's not something you're encouraged to put any energy into, like, which you should, because, like, bruh, you are your whole self. You need to kind of know a bit about you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find that really interesting, actually.
It's true. Because we have to fit into this system. This comes up quite a bit, actually. The system's in place, and you have to fit into that in order to be a decent citizen. Because that way they can keep more control over you. It sounds more sinister than I'm making it, but I know what you mean. But we are more individual than that. Lots of bits of us are similar, but we're all different and firing off in different directions all the time. And like you say, that's never encouraged. It's just you have to be this way. Yeah. You know.
Yeah. Just start to suppress everything that's kind of you.
Yeah.
But and like you said earlier, just like taking breaks and going out, get ice cream or whatever, like just doing things like that, you just learn stuff about yourself. It doesn't have to be you in your room like racking your brain trying to work out who you are. It just takes time. It takes like experiences, being around people. See, like you change who you're. Oh my god, like who you're with. Like I don't intentionally, but I completely change depending on who I'm speaking to.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it's not me. It's just like different forms of me, and people draw out different parts of you, don't they?
Well, this is it. It's like a chemical reaction with the different people that you meet, and so different things happen. I know in relationships that I've been in, there's been some that have been hugely not toxic, but they've been. We definitely shouldn't be around each other. But then there's other people where you're like, this is actually magical. You know, because we are just a big bag of chemicals just firing off of each other.
So true. Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, we're really complex.
We are
very complex.
We are indeed. And I tell you what, this has been such a lovely conversation with you. I'm really pleased we did this.
Oh, me too. I've really enjoyed it.
It's been fantastic. Where can we find you on social media, if you wish to be found, that is?
Oh my gosh. Find me if you want to. I am at JasmineFlowers_ on Instagram, TikTok, just Jasmine Flowers on YouTube, Facebook, everything else, I don't even know. Jasmine Flowers, my name. Jasmine with a Z. and an E on the end. Everyone spells it wrong.
Oh yeah, I saw.
Come find me. I've got a single coming out. God, when? I think 17th of September.
Yeah.
So a month potentially after this comes out. You say 17th this month?
Yes.
Yeah, single coming out soon. More songs on the way. Come find me. Message me. I don't know, say hi.
Brilliant. It's funny that
awkward interactions.
And yeah, people listening, just know that everybody feels awkward. We're all, especially now. I'm actually, when I've arranged to meet some people, I've actually in the conversation gone, right, and when we meet up, what do you want to do? Are we hugging? Are we shaking hands? What do you want to do? Yeah. I did it a couple of times, and they and they laughed. I mean, that's really funny, but yeah. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna go for the handshake. I'm like, oh yeah, cool. And I'm
gonna start doing that.
Start doing it. Just start doing it. It's just funny. It's funny, and it's an icebreaker. And people go, "What do you mean?" They might, but it worked for me. I think.
I've never even thought to do that, and I'm absolutely doing that. My next interaction I have.
Absolutely do it. Absolutely
amazing.
Do it. The other thing
I need to plan the goodbye as well. I struggle with that part. Almost worse than the hello.
Put that in as well. It just makes it more. It's honestly, it changed my life.
I love that.
Just by going. So what are we doing when we meet up? It's just, it's just another thing not to worry about.
Yeah. Yeah.
It works. I promise you.
That's hilarious.
It's funny. You mentioned TikTok.
Yes.
And that, I know a lot of people that have benefited hugely from that app.
Yeah.
I assume that's been a good thing for you.
It has, yeah. I don't really get how it works. I've just been posting a bunch, and my following on there has grown really quickly, and which is awesome. And it's just like a cool. It feels almost like a slightly more casual version of Instagram. It's a bit more chill. And it's just I just like got a bunch more people listening to my music from it. So
this is what you want. Yeah,
it's all good. But yeah, exactly, that's what I want.
Yeah.
And it's just a way for people to kind of see more of you, which is cool, since we've not been able to this last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just feels really. It feels personal, which is nice. Like, I'm so happy when I'm doing my live shows. I'm going to be able to meet people, which I haven't been able to this last year, but I've kind of been able to on TikTok.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, isn't it? It's just. I think a lot of older people can't really understand. They're like, "Oh, I've done it. That's just a thing." But no, it goes. It's a whole new world. It's a whole new audience. It's just, people they didn't understand television when it turned up. So it's just the same thing.
Television, newspapers.
Yeah, cave paintings. They're like, "What the fuck are you writing on the walls for?"
Yeah, goes back.
Yeah,
it's a historical thing.
Exactly. Just go with it.
Like change. Yeah.
No, people don't like change, do they?
No. Gotta get quicker at that. Everyone.
You have to, because things change so quickly as well now. Like technology just... Yeah. I have no idea what number iPhone we're on now.
12? Is it? 12? No,
it's up there, isn't it? But I don't know. Yeah.
Everything's changing very quickly. It's kind of like... It's like a whole job to keep up with just the world and what is new.
Yeah.
I don't really pay much attention.
Well, if we keep talking to each other, I'm sure we'll figure it out.
We will. We will for sure.
Jasmine, this has been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.